check.
That'd
Done.
be cool.
That'd be pretty sweet. But you know what else is cool? The colors that these players have chosen, because they're both cool colors, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of our screen. We've got rivals, Ninkazi.
And his opponent in the top left-hand corner.
Is
Corner.
left-hand corner. Oui, monsieur.
No. It is rivals Eradin. It's my evil.
Eradin. Hey,
Eradin.
Eradin is not a Zerg. You're only allowed to make that sound for Zergs. Remember that, DrennoC, or we're gonna have to have a talk about.
We already had this conversation before. I remember this conversation.
That's a Zerg noise, okay? Zergs. This may be though an infested Protoss. You don't really know. You can't really mess with that too hardcore. Couple of basic things going down. We got our gateways, we got our gases, and we've got our barracks. So we're looking like Reaper expand and potentially a one gas expand. Really, right now we're kind of looking on the Protoss to say, are you going to take that second gas before the expansion? Are you going to throw down a cybernetics core before that expansion?
Definitely, Jack. That's the main thing we're watching out for, whether it's going to be a cyber into a gas or an expansion. There's so many things the Protoss can open themselves up to do, and for now, there it is, the cybernetics core. However, you still have that possibility to throw down a second gate before Eradin's cyber finishes, but no, he's going to go for the Nexus. So, a middle-of-the-road build, playing it very safe.
Yep.
Reaper's about halfway done, but it's going to be SCV for the very first scout, and yep, lucky for that SCV, doesn't have to keep running around the map. Spots where Eradin is.
Gets the first scout off. That's pretty big advantage in the two-player map. What's interesting though to me here is that Eradin has not done any scouting at all. So maybe just scouting with the first adept. No, Stalker's going to come out. Stalker a little bit more adept at dealing with the Reaper. Caster jokes are real. We will keep them rolling as long as you don't blow up my Twitter and tell me to stop. I will continue.
Keep them Kappa, very Kappa.
Keep them very Kappa, 10,000% Kappa if we can. The economic advantage is going to go to Ninkazi with these two openings. So, but overall, pretty close, right? Pretty middle of the road, safe build so far. We got our second gas coming down, and Twilight will be the tech chosen for our blue Protoss player.
Which, in Heart of the Swarm, a lot of players would say, okay, that's a blink. That's what that is. However, now in Legacy of the Void, I have seen Charge, I've seen Resonating Glaives, I've seen Blink. So many more things can start opening up. And then in the bottom left for Ninkazi, Engineering Bay with +1 attack. I'm guessing we're going to see 2 Tech Labs go down on these racks. There are the Tech Labs. Yeah, Ninkazi is just going for a big Stim Combat Shields +1 or +1/1 timing attack. Just to bring back to something you mentioned a little bit earlier before we move on. Just commenting on how Eradin didn't go for the early scout. That, of course, is our blue Protoss. But if you think about it, there's not that many not that many proxies I'm seeing out of Terrans, and there's not that many super greedy builds. I think it's actually okay not to scout at all in the beginning. Now, you do want to pick up that he's going 3 racks, but you can scout that a little later on into the game instead of right off the bat.
Yeah, we're definitely going to find out, and that's one of those very sort of higher level things. If you're a new player, we don't suggest this, but as you get higher, you learn to cut the corners, and instead of just scouting as soon as you can, you say, okay, when is the latest I can scout, where no matter what I scout, I can make the proper reaction and survive an attack or try to, take advantage of the players being too greedy. Because this is, like we said before, a safe opening from Eradin. Ninkazi, though, this will be, I think, quite aggressive and a bit on the scary side. We have 1 pylon only in the front area. Now that pylon becomes very important as there's no more photon overcharge for nexuses. It is instead distributed throughout the pylon. So pylon placement becomes very, very important in this matchup. 2 pylons in front now. We're going to want to keep an eye on that, and the Stalker is now beginning to see what exactly is going on here.
With that Stalker pushing up the ramp, Ninkazi did show his hand, and actually he's got to be really careful, the Stalker, man. Stalker's going to pull back half health, but Ninkazi's showing his hand. He's got to go for it now, and as you just mentioned, it's how the pylons are placed. In this situation, always for Protoss depends. Will that Reaper get the kill?
Oh, man. Oh, just barely
finishing
saved that
and Charge
Stalker.
is on the way. We have now 3 pylons, only 2 forward, one's for an overcharge, but the left-hand side of Eradin's base is a little bit opened up. We could see a snipe with the assimilator. However, if Ninkazi waits too long, we're just going to see too many blink stalkers here, period.
Yeah, he's got to have stim to go into this. He is waiting for it to finish up. Still 10 more seconds. He really wants to get in there. The fact that he's had to show his hand this early is a little bit of a frustration, but do not underestimate the power of stim bio. It's all about, ooh, look at that. Didn't stim too early. You don't want to stim too early, too late, because one stim is pretty much all you have. You need to get this engagement done in one stim. The stim is down. He's taking down a lot of this forces right here. He's going into it.
A lot of Marines just dying right there, but there's so many Marauders left in total. 6 Marauders are out on the map. They will have to pull back after that push. What did they really pick up right there? Two Zealots, I think, and maybe a Stalker. They have to pull back after that. And I really would boil that down to showing his hand kind of earlier on, as I was mentioning, with that first Stalker going into the main base of Ninkazi. He sees, okay, cool. Yeah. Eradin knows exactly what is going on. I know this. He falls back, doesn't throw in anything extra, but basically says, I now got to start warping in a whole bunch.
Yeah, I think it was just really good scouting by Eradin there, and like we were talking about before, the idea of scouting at the last possible moment. He was able to scout that with a Stalker, even though he scouted the last position, like absolute last. And then after that, he's totally prepared, ready for it. He's in position. I like the way he used that pylon as a sort of zoning tool, taking the engagement and just pushing that timing out. It's a cool idea, the 3-rack stim timing, but it's been a pretty big investment army-wise, and no economic damage was done. So Eradin's in a pretty nice spot right now. Overall, though, 40 workers to 44. Not huge lead anyway. We do have the 3rd CC on the way. One of the advantages of being a Terran, being able to throw down that 3rd CC without having to build it all the way at the 3rd. And I wonder, where he's going to want to go about this, if he's going to want to take the 3rd that's a little bit further away, if he's going to be pushing forward into his opponent.
For now, I think it's most likely going to be the one on the right-hand side, at least for Eradin. And he's got that 3rd, of course, on the way. And by the way, I'm seeing this 3-racks play more and more popular, but I'm also seeing the gradual change into adding Starport in, because in the very beginning, Protosses were like, okay, I get Adepts and I can kind of counter that. And then Protosses say, okay, let's mix in some Stalkers. Let's try to do a little bit different composition. And now with Terran, they're saying, okay, and I couldn't make the 3-racks work going against Adepts. However, I can make it work with a couple medevacs in there. So with showing his hand a little earlier on, Ninkazi had to move out without those medevacs. And now that he can move back in with the medevac, yeah, he's going again. This style is very much, I'm just going to punch you, pull back, gain some energy, punch you, pull back again. Just constant pressure.
Really aggressive. I love this play. Siege Tank coming out. I don't think it'll be able to be involved in this particular push unless he waits for it. Still, he has this timing window where his upgrade advantage is still in effect. They will even out as the +1 shields and the 1/1 for the Protoss go ahead and finish out. Armory and 2nd eBay on the way as well as a Liberator. So a couple of CG units on the way here.
Even though Ninkazi, I don't really think he can push into the army of Eradin. You have Charge, you have Blink, you have 3 Immortals, etc. However, the 3rd base is going to be slightly delayed for Eradin. There, it's going down at about the same time Ninkazi's is moving out. And I guess what I'd advise for Ninkazi is either push in, try to cancel that 3rd, or push in there, fake that, move around, and hit the natural in a position where Eradin has to try to hold his 3rd.
Look at this.
Pull him apart.
This is really nice. He's going to get some more Siege Tanks, more Liberators. They're all going to get into position. It's going to be really hard for Eradin to move out on this path here. The Observer makes it.
Just barely survives it. The scan is there, but we don't see Ninkazi use a stim, and he's like, oh, okay, I don't know what I want to do here. Just an FYI, and just an FYI also, there's only 1 sentry a part of Eradin's army. Now, there is enough force fields for one of these choke points, but not all of them.
Yeah, we're going to start setting up the circles of death. The freedom zones are here, and this push is going to be, ooh, a lot of unsieging all at once there, a little bit dangerous. He's got to be careful, because catching this composition on siege is a big deal.
24 Marines, 12 Marauders backed up by these 3 Siege Tanks. We'll see how it works. No force fields quite yet. Storm is only 4 or 5 seconds away. A lot of cutting, but the army of Ninkazi is very clumped up. Big blink forward in the bottom left-hand corner. Not only snipe the Siege Tank and the Liberator, but they blink all the way to the Liberator the entire time. They're fighting the Liberators. GG.
Beautiful.
All right, that's it. Storm even finished in that last second right there. Basically, I think what we should have seen Eradin do is sit back for what 5 seconds, and then Storm use your photon overcharges on the pylons, etc. A lot of things he could have done, but Ninkazi got the perfect timing attack and was essentially able to lure Eradin in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that slow push. I mean, you used to seeing it with Terrans, right? Having the tank push, leapfrogging the tanks. But now they leapfrog the tanks and the Liberators, and they're all sort of moving and slowly pushing you into a corner until it just becomes suffocating and really, really difficult. I gotta, hand it to Ninkazi there for the patience of that second push. Didn't move in right away. Just slowly made it part of his push, made it happen. And just really nice overall.
What I was trying to explain during that game with that push is, at first we saw a lot of 3-racks timings from Terran, and then the Protoss say, okay, we can use Adepts. And then the Terran are like, okay, let's change this a little. Let's add in some medevacs so we can have not dying two-shotting from Adepts. And now we're seeing from Protoss that Stalker Immortal kind of style to counter the medevacs, kind of. We're seeing it work out more and more. And honestly, in that position, as we said, and as you said, Eradin, I think, just needed to wait a few seconds and photon overcharge, and he had 2 storms ready. He had 2 High Templars, both with a storm. At what was that, JaKaTaK, like the 9-ish minute mark? That is, Storm's going to annihilate everything.
Yep, yeah, going for starting the storm before getting the third, it's a cool move. It's one of those things that was popular for a little while in Heart of the Swarm, and until the Colossus meta came back again. And it's always nice to see that back and forth sort of viability of each tech route, each strategy. It makes things interesting, but just, I don't know. I feel like despite the fact that he was waiting for Storm there, he almost had to engage, just getting pushed. And the speed, I think, actually, which is a little bit crazy, at which those units can leapfrog over each other and make it difficult to move into is nuts.
I agree with that, but you also got to remember he did have 2 forward those pylons. Now, he can't be offensive with the pylons that he had, but if he needed to fall back, easily can double photon overcharge, and 2 photon overcharging pylons will kill a lot of stuff. So I agree with you, he could. He maybe had to engage, but I think he could have waited 10 seconds. Then you have this